Welcome to the Landscaping Podcast. My name is Joel Barnett and I'm your host. And in today's episode, I'm talking with Nick Conley from Nicklaus Landscaping in Northern California. Nick runs a design and construction company. He's got 4 guys working for him and he's been going for about 6 years. And there were some great things that he's doing, that he started doing early on in the business, such as getting a business coach when he was, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years in. So it's good when people realize the things that they do well and need a bit of help with and get help for the things they need help with. So it's good to see he's doing that. And he's got a finance coach as well. So he's got setting things up the right way. And something else I loved about his story is that he started out in maintenance as well. So he got a horticultural knowledge prior to starting the construction side of things, which I think is a great way to start in landscaping. It gives you a more well-rounded knowledge base. And something I find fascinating talking to people, even though it's on the other side of the world, something he mentioned was that he has had trouble giving clients timeframes on when he could start their project. So he'd give them a time frame, but then for various reasons, things will push out. So the client will get disappointed because you haven't started on the day you were going to start, and he gets stressed that you could do it at the same time. So it's all very similar stories to what many of the listeners would be feeling. So it's something that's transcends countries. And you'll hear quite a few times in this chat how obviously that Nick cares about his staff as well. So he's looking to create a successful business so that he can pay them enough that they can look after their family. So it's good that he's got that mindset of looking after his staff, because that's the most important part of your business. So there's plenty of good tips and tricks to hear along this episode. So hopefully you enjoy this chat with Nick Conley. Nick, thank you very much for joining us on the Landscaping Podcast. My first question for you is, how did you start in the industry?
I think like a lot of people as a kid, I raked leaves, mowed people's lawns for extra money, and just kind of did that on the side all through high school. I've had a lot of different jobs. And then right out of high school, I worked for an excavation company, building a lot of like track home plots of land and stuff like that, doing foundations and things. That's where I learned most of my operating skills. And then I started, my uncle has a really kind of high-end maintenance company, and they work out of the Napa Valley here in California. And so I worked for him for about 5 years. And then we made a move and I went out on my own. And so I've been in the construction trade. My dad's a plumber. And so I kind of grew up plumbing with him through high school. And but I've been in the trades my whole life, basically, and then in the landscaping trade since I was a teenager, pretty much.
So did it take long to work for your dad to realize you didn't want to do plumbing?
Not too long, no. Especially the service calls.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like much fun.
No, but it taught me a lot, when it comes to irrigation and things like that. It was a good skill to have.
Yeah. And so was that before you were doing the work with your uncle?
Yeah, that was before. That was mostly through high school and the summers in high school, and then out of high school is when it's when I knew I didn't want to be a plumber.
Yep. And so you would have been seeing some pretty impressive properties, I imagine, then working on the maintenance on the project for that company.
Yeah, most of our clients were pretty high end. A lot of private estate homes and private little wineries and things like that. And so, they're the kind of properties where we'd be there for maintenance. There'd be a 3-4 man crew there all day, taking care of their property. So that was my first like official job in the industry, doing high-end maintenance, learned a lot about plants, how to care for plants. And then we would take on little projects here and there. We would do like flagstone walkways. We would build ornate espalier structures to put fruit trees and things on. And that's when I really realized, okay, I like building with my hands, And so when I went out on my own, I kind of knew that was going to be the area that I wanted to focus on.
So did you start doing maintenance as well as construction, like just taking on anything you could at the start?
Yeah, pretty much, kind of same story as everybody else. We're just taking on everything that we can, obviously, for us, we're in Northern California and there's not a lot of water out here. And so the lawn game isn't strong at all. You can't have a lawn route. So a lot of my maintenance were a lot of plant care, a lot of tree pruning, things like that, pulling weeds all day, stuff like that. Not a lot of mowing routes. And so yeah, I started just doing maintenance, little odds and end things, and then trying to get as much install work as I could, from paver patios, things of that nature. I just kind of got a little bit of everything.
So how long ago was that?
And
Like,
just,
how old were you then?
I was about 28, 29 when I started. I'll be 35 next month now. So I've been in business for myself for about 6 years.
Yep. And did you put employees on early on?
I worked for myself for about a year, and then I brought on one of my brothers. They helped me for a year, kind of off and on. I could go on about employees for a while. Now I've got 4 field guys now. We've got a pretty good team. And so I'm in the office. I've got a full-time kind of office person, general manager. She does a lot of the selling and creating estimates and stuff. And I've been able to kind of zoom out and actually work on the business over this last year. I've been able to do that. So
how did you do that? Like, what was the transition like?
So the beginning of last year, so we had a great year in 2019, like kind of in the middle of COVID, we were really slow at first, but by the end of, I believe it was 2019, by the end of 2019, we did pretty well. And I was thinking about going into 2020, like, man, if we have a year like we did in 2019, I'm not sure I'm going to make it just because of how stressed I was, how, I was doing everything. I was in the field all day and then trying to do estimates at night. And I knew something had to change. I didn't know what. And so I started reaching out on, posting things on Facebook, asking questions, and you just get stuff. It's hard to listen to the things that come out on Facebook, but I had a guy recommend a business coach. And so it was in the middle of winter. I had no money. I called this coach guy and just said, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any business background. I didn't go to college for this. Everything I've done has been self-taught, but I knew I didn't want to give up because, a lot of people say, most businesses fail within 5 years. And I knew it's like, I don't want that to be me. I don't want to be a statistic. And so I need to find someone to help me, right? Because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just want to build stuff. But now, but now I'm, at that point, I realized, okay, I need to learn how to build a business now. And so I hired a business coach, Jim Wirtz, and that was a little over a year and a half ago. And he just kind of got me started on, step one, get yourself out of the field. You need to make more time for yourself to actually work on the business and not in it. And so I had a couple decent guys at that point. Well, I had one decent guy at that point. A few months later, 2 of them, it didn't go well, drugs and stuff. It was just a mess. But he started to help me get my mindset changed to actually like think about how you can create more time for yourself, start to delegate more things so that you can work on the business and get that kind of zoomed out view of your business and start working on it that way. And so that was a year and a half ago. And now, between now and then, I'm completely out of the field now. It's been a huge change.
Do you miss being out of the field?
I do, but I've kind of found a new love for actually working on the business and building up people, right? And getting my guys in the right positions and helping them learn and grow and be able to provide for their family. It's kind of the reason why I started the business. To backtrack a minute, we made a move and I was looking for jobs for other landscape companies in this new area. And they weren't paying what I was making with my uncle. And I wasn't going to be able to support my family on it. We're in kind of a low income area and there's just not a lot of high paying jobs here. And so I decided to go out on my own. And now that's fueled me and how I want to build my business is to be able to pay a living wage for my guys, And so that's kind of that's kind of what that's what brings me joy now is building the business and creating this culture and atmosphere for my guys to thrive and be able to provide a living wage for their families.
Yeah, there's one thing to look after yourself and that feels nice, but being able to look after other people, that's just a whole different level, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you learn anything from your uncle about running a business, or was it all just on site?
Most of it's been on site. He had a very good eye for detail. His work that he did was very good. And now, after being a business owner, I actually texted my uncle once and I said, "Hey man, I'm really sorry for what I put you through." Because I would just get smart with them, and just go, "Why are we doing that? Seriously, I want to do it my way. It's good enough." And now that I'm a business owner and seeing how he ran the business and how he communicated with the clients and stuff, I totally pull from that. So yes, I did learn some from him for sure.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, whether I knew it at the time
Yeah.
or not, I definitely do now.
Yeah, it's funny when I've spoken to a few people who have had employees go out on their own, start their own business, and then they come back and work for them and say, "Yeah, everything you said was actually correct. It is as hard as what you said."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not as easy as people think it is.
Yeah, it is quite satisfying though. So you have some
Yeah.
good days and bad days, but yeah, I absolutely love it. Been doing it for a while. But was that business coach? Is he general business or is he trades based or is it? You got any speciality?
He had a landscape company, a multifaceted landscape company, kind of full service everything for like 20 or 30 years in Pennsylvania. And so, yeah, so he's specifically for the landscaping trade.
Yeah, perfect. So do you still, is that like a regular monthly thing you keep in touch with him or was it just to
Yeah,
start with?
so we have a group, we have a weekly Zoom meeting, and there's like 15, 20 guys in the group, and we just get together. He usually has some kind of presentation or he brings in other pros from the industry, and we just kind of talk shop. We talk about each other's issues. We try to help each other. It's kind of really it's kind of a mastermind. We all try to help each other out. And then it's great to have him in my back pocket. If I ever go through something that I haven't gone through yet, I can give him a call and say, "Hey, this is what's going on. What do you think?" You know, so it's been an invaluable asset for me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I wouldn't be where I'm at today without it.
that's awesome. And when we
Yeah.
were organising this chat, you said that you'd speak to your finance coach who's actually in Australia as well. So
Yeah.
how did that come about?
So my business coach, Jim, he recommended him to me. And basically, like anything else, at the end of the year in 2019, QuickBooks says you made so much profit, but then you look in your bank account and you're like, okay, if it's profit, why isn't it in my bank account? Why am I at zero and it's saying I made 50 grand? Where is that money at? And so after, it takes, a lot of people say it takes money to make money, right? And so this whole last year has been me fighting that, like, man, I don't have the money to spend, but I can't not afford to spend it.
Yeah.
And so first was hiring that business coach, and then second was realizing that, okay, I'm not good at my numbers and I need to find someone to help me do that. And so I asked my business coach, said, "Hey, this is what I'm going through. I just can't seem to catch up when it comes to my bank account." And so he gave me the number of Phil McGilvery, and he's been great. He's helped me budget. We have a system. We have a savings plan. I got a plan to get out of debt and kind of help. My goal is to really kind of run debt free. I don't know if I'll be 100% debt free because I still might put equipment on get financing for that, but otherwise that's kind of the goal, and I should be there, I think, within about 6 months.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So have you got any equipment at the moment?
Yeah, I've got a 4.5-ton mini excavator. It's a Kubota KX033, and then we just took possession of our Ditch Witch SK1550 that I ordered a year ago. We just got it last month.
Yeah, that's insane. I've heard that a lot about people trying to get machines and that because of COVID, they just delayed for so long.
Yeah, it took forever, but that thing has been game changing. It's been so awesome.
Yeah. So do you? I've seen people using them, and they have you got the fork attachments on there as well, so you can move pallets around.
Yep. That was really that was the main reason I wanted it, because a lot of our jobs we can't get things delivered right to where the patio is, and so we have to be able to move those pallets around, and so that's been huge for us.
Yeah. And I saw on your Instagram that you do design as well. So is that something you taught yourself just gradually?
Yeah, I kind of taught myself gradually. Right now we kind of outsource our renderings to Zach Kitzmiller. He does a phenomenal job. He's got a great service for contractors, and it's one of those things like that I like to do it, but I don't necessarily love it. And it's something that takes a lot of time to get really good at. So I do my little rough 2D sketches and then I send them off to him and he makes them look perfect. And then I can send it to the client and it saves me days of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I've recently added that 3D to my design packages, and I was initially looking to learn to do it myself, and draw a basic playground in SketchUp, and it just sort of looks pretty average. And then you see what other people are pumping out, and there's a lot of other things I could be doing other than 3D designs. So it makes sense to get someone else to do it.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I tell all the guys that come through our coaching group, because a lot of them do their own designs and they spend hours and hours and hours. I'm like, unless you want to be a designer, just outsource it. Have someone else do it, because there's so much more that we as business owners need to be working on besides sitting at our computer all night trying to learn SketchUp and and to do things to render it, to make it look realistic, to use a software like Lumion, that's just a huge investment that we don't need to make when there's guys out there who will do it for you for a fraction of the cost.
Yeah. It's not only the licensing of the program, but the computer you need to run it as well. Otherwise, it takes a day to render it. And then the client says, "Oh, can you change this?" Like, "Oh, it's going to take me another day."
Yeah, exactly.
So, do you with the people in your mastermind group, are they nearby? Like, can you share jobs or anything like that?
The closest one to me is about 6 hours away. Most everybody else is in the East Coast. I don't know what it is about the West Coast. There's not a whole lot of guys out here. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm following so many guys on social media. Most everybody's over on the East Coast, or in the Midwest. And there's a few people out here, and there's some big guys doing a lot of killer work out on this side, but I don't know what it is. The West Coast is like behind or something on the whole social media game. Maybe because everyone's sick of Facebook or something.
They're on MySpace still.
Yeah. Yeah. I did join another kind of more business entrepreneurial type group, and there's quite a few people near me in that group. And so we're planning on doing kind of a little meetup, maybe quarterly. But
awesome. Are there any landscape associations or anything like that?
There's a California Landscape Association. I haven't joined it yet, but I'm thinking about it. And then I believe it's NALP. I think it's kind of a national one for the States too.
Yeah. Are they big memberships that join that, or?
It's not too bad. I think it's like, a couple $100 a year. And then they have meetings and things like that and different networking opportunities. You can get, I know with our California one, you can get a part of their health insurance group plan rates. So that's a nice benefit there. And then just the networking opportunities is good too.
Yep. Have you got any designers that you work for, like that give you work, or do you mainly do your own?
We just started. We've had a couple architects reach out to us over on the coast. And so it's kind of a market that there's not a contractor. There's no landscape contractors over there. There's a lot of handyman types. So here in California, if you do a job over $500, you're supposed to be licensed with the state. And so there's a lot of handyman guys around that don't do that and bypass that. So architects they need to use contractors, licensed contractors. And so there's no one over there right now. It's about an hour away, but it's a place where a lot of people have their second homes and things like that. And so we've just started getting calls from 3 different architects over there just this summer.
Right.
Yeah.
And then none of those, they don't do much work in your area, do they?
Not really. I guess they stay busy enough over there on the coast, which is great, because when it's like in the summertime, when it's 100 here, it'll be 60 over there.
Yeah.
So it'll be a nice place to work in the summertime.
And you work through the whole year, like you don't get any snow that shuts you down in winter?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Unless we get a really bad rain, we've had times where it's rained for like 2 weeks straight, and then we'll just have to shut down. It just depends on where we're at in a project. If we're working on a paper patio, we try in the wintertime, we try to get everything dug out as fast as we can and then get our base in. We use a hybrid base system. So we use a 3/4 drain and then 3/8 bedding.
What sort of depths do you dig down to for your bases?
We do. It depends on. We have a lot of clay around here, so I usually go 6 inches minimum on just a walkway or a regular patio. If we're going to do a driveway, we're going at least 10 to 12, and then we're doing geogrid, we're doing drive grid, and then a geotextile fabric underneath everything.
Yep. Then do you have to have drainage within that? Like when you excavate out, so it doesn't just create a well in the clay?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because one of the fascinating things I've found about US landscapers is because we, in Australia, 90% of the time or more, we'll pour a concrete slab and then lay over the top of that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I haven't seen that done much at all in the US.
Yeah, not a whole. I don't see it much either.
Yeah, it's weird because you guys put it down so much quicker because it's just you get your base right and then put either a sand on top or there's that gator base. I think it's look like a sheet of what's it made out of that stuff?
It's like we've only used it about twice, and it's been a few months. It's like a foam, but it's like a high density foam,
right?
And it's actually nice. We used it in a backyard where we couldn't get our ditch witch through there, so everything had to be wheelbarrowed in, and it allows you to only have to dig down about 4 inches, and then you put an inch of sand down, and then put those the gator base mats on the top of that. So it's great for hard access things. It's got its own learning curve. I don't think I would use it exclusively, but I do know a couple people who that's all they use.
Yeah, right. So it's basically what you do is you'll dig down and put your stone base down first, and then put your sand on top, and then it's basically like a foam mat, and then you lay the pavers on top of that.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're able to slide the pavers around. You don't have a new guy sliding pavers on your brand new bedding layer. It'll just slide on that foam, and so that's a benefit. You can walk on it and not mess up your bedding layer. And then in like freeze thaw scenarios, it helps insulate the ground a little bit, so you don't get that freeze and thaw as much. So I know there's some guys in the mountains using it more for that reason.
Right. So how far away is that from you that they're using it in the mountains that you said?
Like the Tahoe area, it's about 4 hours from us, okay. 4 hours east. So it's on the other side.
So what's the furthest you travel for work?
We've got a job in the works right now. It's one of our biggest ones. And it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours away, but we'll stay over there most likely.
Yep.
Recently we've been within 15, 20 minutes of my house, which is great, but we'll travel for larger projects and then stay over there.
Yeah. Right. Is it because they're like a nice project to work on?
Yeah, mostly. Those portfolio builders. I really enjoy working on the bigger, longer projects.
Yep.
I just like focusing on the one job, and not have to be scheduling, 2 or 3 little ones every single week.
Yeah. So I find it's a balance because it's nice to have another job on at the same time, because if for some reason you can't get onto one because of another contract or something, you've got the other one to go to, and you're not just standing around sitting at home doing nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, it is helpful. We've been taking smaller stuff lately because we're waiting for this big one to start.
Yep.
And so yeah.
And you do the full landscape package?
Yeah, usually. Yeah. So a lot of hardscaping, not as much plants around here. People are getting away from using water. So we haven't done a lot of plants, but now that we're getting into the coastal area, the people over there like having plants because there's so much fog that comes in every single night, and it kind of wets everything down. They don't have as much of a water issue over there.
What are they doing instead of using plants?
We'll do a lot of boulders. We'll do a lot of decorative rock. a lot of people will just do a type of mulch or something. We're tearing out a lot of lawns and using artificial turf. And then we also do a lot of decks too, which is fun.
Do you use timber or composite material?
Mostly composite.
Yep.
Yeah, because around here, like TimberTech, the AZEC brand has a class A fire rating, and fires are crazy around here, and so we can usually sell people on that pretty nicely. And then just the maintenance, like redwood's really popular around here, but if you want it to look like redwood all the time, you've got to take care of it every single year.
Yeah,
and no one does that.
No, yeah, I say that people when we do a new timber deck, it's never going to look as good as the day we put it down.
Exactly.
Unless they do look good when they silver off, but if you want it to have the color in it, you've got to oil it at least every 6 months.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
How soon after starting did you get your license?
So after about a year, I decided to get it because I knew this is what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to be the fly by night guy.
Yep.
I wanted to set myself apart from those guys, and so having that would just get me up to that next level.
Yeah, because I listen to a lot of US podcasts with landscaping and garden maintenance, and everyone talks about how strict everything is in California, including that having to have your license at that lower level. Have you found it very restrictive or anything, or is it all just you're just used to it anyway?
It depends on the county that you're in. I think we live in a pretty lax area, so there are all those rules are still there, but whether they get enforced or not just depends on the county. And so when it comes to operating without a license here, I've got friends that have been doing it for I know contractors that have been doing it for 20-30 years, and so it makes it hard because they've been here for so long. And I talk to them like, hey man, you really should get your license, and they're just happy kind of, charging what they charge and flying under the radar. And that's that, but they're all in their 50s, 60s, still working. And that's not what I want to do. I want to grow a business and have an actual business. And so to do that, you have to be legit and do, everything right. But so our county, I don't feel that pressure very much. But if you were down in like San Francisco, there's no way. They do sting operations all the time. You can get away with anything down there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it feels so much like I was operating like every landscaper when they start out. I didn't have my building registration. It feels so much better knowing that you're doing everything the right way.
Yeah.
It's just better off to do it properly. You don't have to worry about anything going wrong. And because
exactly.
Like the same, I know people who are doing $200,000 projects and they don't have their registration. So it's wild.
Right. Yeah, and it just gives you the confidence when you're talking to the client. Like, yeah, I'm licensed, I'm insured. If anything was to go wrong, I'm going to take care of it. That's what being professional means.
Yeah, and a couple of the other podcasts I listen to are more maintenance based, so they talk about like lawn mowing and that sort of thing. Is there any regulations about using battery operated equipment versus other like normal two-stroke equipment?
That's kind of a new thing here because they just California just made it a law. I think anything under 50 cc's like chainsaws and lawnmowers, they're not going to sell in the state anymore. Yeah. So a lot of people are switching to battery power stuff. My brother-in-law, he has his own little maintenance company, and he just bought some of Still's battery powered hedgers and weed eaters and things like that, and he actually likes them. So it's definitely something that's getting more popular, and I think things are getting better. I've got a Milwaukee. I've got their demo saw, that battery powered cutoff saw, the 9-inch one.
Yeah,
and it's cool for little cuts here and there, but it wears down on the batteries pretty quick, and so the guys don't grab it very much anymore.
What sort of batteries are they? Like how many volts is it?
They're the 18-volt, 12-amp Milwaukee fuel batteries.
And you need two in it or just the one?
Just the one.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've got a Makita one of those, but it needs two of the 18-volt batteries.
Right.
And it works pretty well. Like, obviously doesn't work as well as a petrol operated one, but it for what it is, it's pretty good, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah. Everything has its place. I think it's going to get better. So it's definitely nice not to have to listen to a big gas saw running.
Yeah, even when you've got earmuffs on, you are still ringing after using one of them for a while, and they're heavy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
With your staff, because obviously you care about them, do you do anything outside of work to catch up with them or keep them happy?
Yeah, we're starting to implement that. I'm a pretty like, if they have family things that come up, I'm pretty chill in regards to letting them take a day or letting them leave early. I really try not to be a slave driver. As long as I know they're not taking advantage of that, I'm pretty flexible. And that's mainly, I do that because for when we schedule projects right now, I give people like we're booked out like 2-3 months right now. And I tried giving people dates and it just did not work.
Yeah.
And they just ended up not happy. I was stressed and it just didn't work. And so now we give them a time frame and we say, hey, within, 2-3 weeks of us starting your job, we will let you know, like, hey, we're about ready. We'll see you then. And so, it allows more freedom for the guys and for me. And if something goes wrong with the project, and it's worked great. We've been doing that for 2 or 3 years. We've never had any issues. I'm working on the whole company culture aspect right now, and so I'm planning a tuna trip for the guys. We're going to go out to the coast and go fishing for some tuna, but that's definitely an important part of the business, is creating that culture and just kind of creating that team vibe.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good team vibe in work, but I also want to create that outside of work, and it'll just strengthen everything.
Yeah, and doing I think you spend time at work more than what you do with your partner usually, like most people. So you want to do it with people you enjoy being around, and that'll surely help.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a huge thing that we're concentrating on, is making sure we have the right people, and then being quick to get rid of cancer. If someone's just, if someone that a bad attitude will ruin your whole crew.
Yeah.
And it's happened to me. I've seen it happen firsthand, unfortunately. And so I've had to learn the hard way. But at the end of the day, it starts from the top, right? And so it's like, I can't blame the guys. I need to see it. I need to be able to talk with them and talk it through and coach them and protect the culture. And so it's, at the end of the day, it falls on me. And so that's a big thing that I'm learning still, and will be probably for a long time.
Exactly, yeah. But like you've said, doing that, getting that business coach, so that now you're not doing everything all at once and getting overwhelmed. So that'll allow you to see that kind of thing before it gets out of control.
Exactly. Yeah. So we've implemented. We do morning meetings with the whole crew. And then I'm going to start meeting with my I'm creating a leadership team, because we're going to start growing even more over the winter and into next year. And so I'm really focusing right now on creating a leadership team to kind of handle that growth and dealing with training. I'm reading a book called Traction right now, about the the entrepreneurial operating system, and starting to get that implemented. And so, just being intentional with meeting the guys, meeting with your team, talking things through, creating a culture of transparency, both about, me and the business and how we can be better. I tell my guys every day, like, let's be better today than we were yesterday. Let that be our goal. Let's not get emotional. Let's understand that none of us are perfect. We're all going to screw up, and let's treat each other with grace and just all move forward.
Yeah. It's very smart doing it that way. Like, we learn everything. We learn something on every job that we do. So you're always wanting to keep improving.
Exactly.
Now I've came across you on Instagram, and you put a fair few posts up there and reels. Did you enjoy doing all that?
I do, yeah. Now that I'm not in the field, it kind of takes a little more thought to actually go out and like ask the guys like, hey, what are you doing today? And try to get some cool stuff. But it all started for me as just a portfolio builder, because right now when we have clients call, we always ask, hey, have you seen our Instagram? Have you seen our Facebook? Have you been to our website? And if they say no, we send them to it, and that sells them right away because they see everything that we've done. They kind of get the behind the scenes look at the company. Like with, I haven't been doing a lot of stories lately, but stories help them kind of see me and see the real heart to the company, as well as all the cool stuff. And then reels are just, it's fun to just shoot a little 10-second clip and see the views go up. The reels that you think are gonna explode don't.
Exactly.
And the stupid one that you just did to post something is the one that goes viral. It makes no sense.
Yeah. It is fun to do that as well. But also, one of yours, I didn't go back any further, but I saw one of yours has got 2.9 million views on there.
Yeah.
That's where I saw you doing the database.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know why that one blew up, but it did. It was kind of wild just to see that go. It had a bunch of shares, and it's just cool. I'm not on Instagram to be an influencer or get Instagram famous. It's just another tool to use to market and to share what we do with the people around us. Yeah. Like, I care more about local followers.
Yeah.
Because those are the people that I'm going to earn business from.
It's such a good tool though, because everyone used to send people to your website and they go and check out my website. I actually haven't updated it in 5 years, but go and check it out. But now you go to your Instagram, you're just constantly updating it.
Exactly. I've heard all sorts of guys on podcasts say, we don't even have a website, we just use Instagram.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's a pretty cool time to be in business now.
Yeah.
It's a great tool to have.
And back in the day, like some people would pay 20 grand for a website. That's crazy.
Exactly. And now you can do it free on your phone.
Yeah. You mentioned you're reading a book before. Do you read many books?
I am now, yeah. So I used to read a lot, and then I haven't in the last few years, but just recently started doing 75 hard. And so I'm on day.
Explain that, because I've heard of it, but a few people wouldn't have.
Yeah, so it's basically, a lot of people will take it as like kind of a fitness routine to get out of, to lose weight or to get in shape. But the guy that created it, it's more of a mindset shift. And so it's structuring your life and getting you to be disciplined about things, and so that you create that disciplined mindset, and then that can take you further when you're done with the program, and use it for your family, use it for your business. And so with that, I'm on day 20. You got to read 10 pages a day. So you have to read 10 pages a day. You got to drink a gallon of water. You have to do 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outside, and a workout can be whatever that is to you. Right now I'm going on walks with my family. And so it's getting that family time in, and then 10 pages. And then you got to follow a diet and no alcohol or cheat meals. And so because of that, I'm on my 3rd book right now, and I'm on day 20.
All right. And so and they're not audio books, you're actually reading them?
You have to read them. They have to be 10 pages. Yeah, audiobooks don't count.
That'd be an easy way to do it. You go for your walk, you can do 2 at once.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you finding it easier now on day 20 than you were like day 5?
It depends on the day. The weekends are hard when you got like stuff going on. Like this weekend on a Saturday, we had a wedding party to go to, and I'm like, dang, what am I going to do? Because we got to leave early. It's like, so you just have to think about it. And it kind of shows you like, you can make time. Like everyone says, oh, I don't have enough time to do that. It's like, you can make time if you want. If it's something that you actually want to do, you'll make it happen. And so that's the whole mindset thing with the program, is it kind of teaches you and makes you realize, like, you know what? There are no excuses. You just got to want it.
Yeah. It's like there's a book called that One Thing as well. I think it's called that. But yeah, you focus on the one thing and you'll get it done.
Yeah, exactly.
What about podcasts? Do you listen to many podcasts?
Yeah. What's one I started? I kind of been. I think you had Matt Heiner on here. I binge listened to all his stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, he's the
Saint
only other one I know of on there's not on the Midwest or East Coast. That's kind of the West, isn't it? Denver.
Yeah, Colorado. Yeah. He's in the Rockies, so but it's more west
Yeah.
than yeah. And then so I listen to him. Our software company synced up that we do all our estimates with. Weston, he just started a podcast. Started listening to that today. I'll listen to the Kid Contractor, Andy Mulder's Mulder Life.
Yeah.
And then some different business ones. I'd have to open my phone and look. I'm like bouncing around all over the place. But when I'm driving, I'm usually listening to some kind of podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that synced up one, but I'll be adding that to the list. But yeah, the other ones I listen to, those ones as well, because they're so knowledgeable in those guys that you mentioned. It's crazy.
Yeah, I just started listening to Andy Frisella, the Real AF podcast, and there's a couple other business ones that I've been listening to that were great. I can't remember. I just listen to them. I just throw them on and start listening.
Yeah, every now and then I'll find myself in the car and for some reason, like my phone might not have connected or something, and I listen to the radio and the ads come on, and it's just crazy when you're not used to listening to it, how dumbing it is listening to the radio sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Same with TV. And since I started 75 Hard, I haven't turned the TV on in like 3 weeks because I'm reading.
Yeah, right.
You know, so it's great as the owner to if you're not growing, you're falling behind, really.
Yep. Yeah, I used to love reading, but then I'd get 3 pages in and I'd fall asleep, or I wouldn't really be paying attention to what I was reading. I have to go back a couple of pages because it's just a bit like meditation for me, and I just knocks me out.
I've had a few nights where I hadn't read my 10 pages and I'm like, I'm going to fall asleep. I'm like 2 pages in and I'm already dozing. So I'll come downstairs and just walk around and just read. So I'll stay awake.
Do picture books count for that?
Right. Probably not. No.
But yeah, that does sound, I've heard a few people mention that. It does sound like an awesome idea. And I've heard of 30-day challenges and all this stuff, but if you're doing something for 75, then you've got that routine down pat, and you can do pretty much anything.
Exactly. And the kicker too is if you fail one of those at any point, you have to start over.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brutal.
So you gotta stay honest and actually do it all fully.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also a good thing as well. Like that makes it harder, but there's no point doing something easy because that's not going to change your habits.
No, exactly. You got to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yep.
And if you're comfortable, then you need to change something.
Yeah, there was a reel I saw a couple of days ago. I don't know who it was, probably just some random fella, but he was it was on one of those motivational pages, but he was saying when his alarm goes off, he just gets up and does whatever he has to do for the day. He doesn't think this is hard to do or I'm tired. Like it's just when your alarm goes off, that's time to get up and start doing what you got to do. So it's all about having that mindset of not thinking things are hard. Just it is what it is. Yeah,
it just is. You got to do it, so you do it.
Exactly. Yep.
That whole waking up to the first alarm is one of my goals for this 75 days because I'm the 4 or 5 snoozer. I've got like 5 different alarms set, and it's terrible.
What sort of time do you get up?
Right now, I meet my guys in the yard at 7, so I'm usually up by 6, but sometimes it's 6:30. Right now, my yard is my empty lot next door, so I just walk out the front door.
They get up at 6:55.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one of the things I'm
the goal is the point where I'm awake at 5:30, 5 o'clock, doing a workout.
Yep.
Doing devotions, reading. So
yeah, especially if you're doing a 45-minute workout, you got to get up early to fit that in.
Yep, exactly.
And you do feel good after doing one in the morning.
Oh yeah, totally. It wakes you up. You don't have to be on coffee.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, and your body feels a lot better, because I'm finding I need to start doing that as my body gets a bit older. Going for a walk in the mornings makes a huge difference.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, I hurt my back a couple years ago, and my lower back just hasn't been the same since. And so, um, if I want to not be in a wheelchair when I'm 50, I got to be up and moving.
Yeah, yeah. And last question for you, Nick, is who would be a good guest to have on the podcast?
Get my business coach on there, Jim Wertz. I'm sure he'd love it.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like that's a good one. I like that.
He's been on a few. He's been going on a couple different podcasts, I think, recently. But he would be a good one to have.
Nice, awesome. All right, thanks for that recommendation, and thank you very much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.